Hi, Tyler from Interfidelity here. Today we're going to talk about a revolutionary product, I think. A new portable media player by Astell and Kern. This is the AK240. It's revolutionary in a number of ways, not the least of which is its price at $2,500. This is a very, very expensive portable media player, but in the end, I think delivers a lot of value for that money as well. So it may not be quite as exorbitantly priced as it might seem at first. I'm going to give you a brief overview of this product, but I've also done a video on the user interface, an 18-minute long video to go through all the features and functions. So I'm not going to go to that level of detail in this particular video. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown on the device and what my impressions were. And if you want to take a deeper look at the user interface, which is truly spectacular user interface on this device, you can look at that other video because it will give you the full rundown on how this thing works and how to operate it. But bottom line is it's very, very, very easy to navigate and do pretty much anything you'd like to do with a portable media device, and things you may not have ever even thought about doing with a portable media player like this. So briefly, the AK240 is very, very nicely built. This is a duraluminum enclosure. It's made out of a single billet of aluminum, very high quality aircraft grade aluminum, and then anodized a dark champagne color. It's got some beautiful angles on it, and the rear panel is a gorgeous carbon fiber gloss covered with a metallized inlay of the Astell and Kern logo on the back. Controls on the top, you've got a 3.5mm headphone jack. This can be used as a headphone output. It can also be used as a line output. You can put it in line out mode, and then the full D to A converter voltages go to this jack. It also has an optical output, an optical digital output, so you can use this as a source for a D to A converter at home. One of the things that's really unusual about this device is they switched D to A converters from the ones that were used in the AK240 and have added a special custom-made chip for them so that they are able now to play native DSD files on this device. DSD is a different type of digital bit stream that uses only one bit. So it's not like a 16-bit word or a 24-bit word at a 44.1 or 92 kilohertz or whatever. It is a 1-bit stream, and it has a very, very high bit rate. At any rate, this device will play DSD files native without converting it to PCM, which is the normal digital format prior to playing it. So very good at that. It will play all manner of file formats, MP3, FLAC, WAV, AAC, you name it. It just pretty much plays it all, and will play all the high resolution bit rates as well. The optical output does not output DSD digital bit streams, however, so this is not able to output DSD. The 2.5mm jack on here is a tip ring sleeve, so it's got 4 connectors on the jack, and that is for balanced drive. Normally in a pair of headphones you have a signal for the left ear and a signal for a right ear, and then a return ground connector, so there's 3 connectors in a normal headphone. In balanced mode, you drive each earpiece with 2 signals that are completely inverted from each other, so it effectively doubles the drive voltage and slew rate of the electronics. So this thing does have a balanced output, which is very nice. Power button, of course, and then it's got the rewind, play, pause, fast forward, track forward buttons on the side. Here is the micro SD card slot. It has 256 gigabyte hard drive internally, and then you can add up to 128 gig of memory on the single external micro SD card slot. On the bottom of the unit is a little micro USB connector. This connector has two purposes essentially, or three purposes. One, it will of course charge the device. Second, you can hook it up to a computer and move files from the computer to the device, obviously. But you can also go into a mode where this device acts as a USB DAC, so it can convert the output from your USB into audio for a pair of headphones. And then on this side, of course, is the volume control. It's a very nicely sculpted knob here. It's nice and safe from getting bumped, but there are ways to lock it, so when it's in your pocket it won't adjust the volume. And just briefly, if you adjust the volume on here, you get the volume display, and then you can also move it up and down with your finger. I'm going to do I have another video, an 18-minute long video that goes into the user interface of this device. The user interface is spectacular, very, very easy to use, and but too complicated for this particular video. So I've got a whole separate video on that, and I'll give you a link at the end of this video to that. Let's see, some of the unusual features of this device is it now has a 10-band graphic equalizer that can store various settings. Go to the equalizer here, and you can see that, let me put it into the, I have to turn it on and put it into the equalizer mode, and you can see it's got a 10-band equalizer. You can literally draw on the screen with your finger and have the equalization settings show up. Another feature of this device is that it will play music from a server in your home. You have to install some software on a computer in your house. They call it the MQS. This is Mastering Quality Sound Streaming Server Software. So the MQS Streaming Server Software on one of your machines at home. And then you simply have to put one of the drives on your machine, or multiple drives on your machine, into the application so it knows where your music is. You can map a NAS drive on your network to your computer and then share that mapped folder. But bottom line, over Wi-Fi, it allows you to stream anything that you have on your home computer network for music without actually having it to load on the player, and it does stream DSD in that mode as well. It also, when you're hooked up to the Wi-Fi, it also allows you to update this device. I've had 2 or 3 updates so far, and so saw some changes on one of them to the line out and a button that became available on the volume screen. But at any rate, you can always keep it up to date, which is very cool, and as Astell and Kern figure out features, they'll become available as you update the device over time. It also comes with a handy dandy leather case that it slips into very nicely. It's very comfortable in your hands. It's kind of surprising. I didn't really expect this shape to be terribly comfortable in your hands, but to tell you the truth, I found it was very nice to use. It may be simply that it's such a gorgeous device that you ignore any of that, but I don't think that's the case. It's very easy to control the volume with the thumb wheel and the track forward and track back with your finger, and then if you hold it with the other hand, it similarly is comfortable. And then putting it in the case, of course, it softens all the edges, and it's quite nice. So I had no problems with the funny shape being cumbersome in any way. Sound quality wise, this is a spectacular device. I spent some time listening to the AK240 compared to this AK240, and I found the 120 was a little warmer sounding and didn't quite have the very, very finesseful recapturing of micro details in the treble. The AK240 does a terrific job of resolution in the highs. It seems to be a neutral device, or maybe slightly bright, but generally speaking, I would say it's very, very neutral. I did compare this also to my reference Auralic Taurus Mark II headphone amp and Auralic Vega DAC, which are really very, very high quality gear. The Astell and Kern AK240 did a good job keeping up with it with headphones that were relatively easy to drive. I felt that the differences were pretty minor. I suppose I would say that the Auralic gear sounded just a tad smoother as better gear tends to sound, but it was a very small amount. However, when I went to headphones that were tough to drive, Hi-Fi Man HE6 or Mr. Speaker's Alpha Dog, Sennheiser HD800, any of these cans that are kind of known harder to drive, Odyssey LCD2, the AK240 would exhibit a little bit more strain and lose a little composure around the edges, so to speak, relative to the Auralic gear, and no surprise there, this is a battery-powered device. Running them balanced, it was a little bit better. Of course, you do have about 60 dB more gain when you go into balanced mode, so it can drive with a little bit better authority, but I still found that it still didn't quite keep it together as much as the Auralic did when switching to higher end gear. I compared this, the AK240, to the Astell and Kern's AK120 using the digital optical output into the Centrance Hi-Fi Mate, and it did clearly a better job of driving the more difficult headphones. It had a lot more grunt, but I also felt that the AK240 had a bit more finesse and resolving power than the Hi-Fi Mate AK120 combination. So the big question for audiophiles is this device, in terms of sound quality, worth the $2,500 when you might use more difficult headphones to drive? And that's a call that each individual is going to have to make, I'm afraid. I think one of the solutions there might be that Astell and Kern's has just released the AK100 Mark II and the AK120 Mark II that has the same user interface as the AK240 and also has digital outputs, but doesn't have quite the sound quality of the AK240. And a good solution for those of you who might be wanting a really high-end player with a great user interface and difficult headphones to drive, you might want to use one of those lower-cost Astell and Kern portable players with something like the Centrance Hi-Fi Mate, driving the Centrance Hi-Fi Mate digitally for the hard-to-drive headphones. So there's a bit of a difficulty for audiophiles in that regard if you've got headphones that are not quite as difficult to drive. NAD Viso HP50, Sennheiser HD600, any of a number of Biodynamic T1, so on and so forth. Any of these other headphones that are easier to drive, I think you'll find that the convenience, the single unit design, the user interface can make a lot of sense to go with the AK240 as opposed to a different DAC or a different portable media player with an outboard DAC and headphone amp that becomes more cumbersome and not so easy to put in your pocket. I also compared this with the FiiO X5 that's $350 and felt that the FiiO X5 really was amazingly competitive given its low cost compared to a device like this. It didn't have that last degree of finesse and resolution that this device had, but of course it's something like 1/8 the cost of this thing. So there are certainly ways to get good quality sound at a much, much lower price, but of course You don't have that incredible user interface, the over-the-air streaming, automatic updates on Wi-Fi, and so on and so forth. The AK240 also has a Bluetooth output, so I can connect it to Bluetooth speakers. Kind of a silly use for a very high-resolution device, but it certainly works and works really well. So bottom line, I think the Astell and Kern AK240 is an absolutely terrific player, and if you're in a position to be able to afford such a thing, I highly recommend it. I don't have a wall of fame yet for portable media players, but one day I will, and when I do, this is very likely going up on it. So until then, I'm going to give it a stuff we like rating, and when the time comes to put up a wall of fame, it's certainly going to get consideration for that. And if you want to go read the review on Interfidelity, which is much more comprehensive than I can do in a short time here, I'll put up a link and you can click on that and go to the review. And if you want to take a look at the video with the user interface on it, here's a link for that, and you can take a look at this 18-minute video going deep into the functionality of the device. Alright, I hope you get a chance to play around with one of these sometime soon. Certainly a great treat to listen to, and a great treat to hold in your hands and fondle, because this is a gadget to lust after, that's for sure. Alright, we'll see you guys next time.